Patrick Ewing's quest for a championship now continues from the New York sideline. A warrior who has endured so much. This time, the pain has become too great to overcome. So now the Knicks look to Latrell Sprewell for his speed and versatility. Marcus Camby for his fresh, young energy. And Allen Houston's pinpoint shooting to keep Ewing's dream of a ring alive. Reggie Miller has been unhappy with his performance thus far against the Knicks and has been unsuccessful from three-point range. But he's earned the reputation of a Knick killer here at the Garden. Can they stop his assault? The Pacers and Knicks are next.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1999 NBA playoffs. Today, it's the Indiana Pacers versus the New York Knicks.
The lower Manhattan skyline and in Midtown, famed Madison Square Garden, scene of Game 3 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Patrick Ewing arriving wearing the cast that will keep him on the sidelines, replaced by Chris Dudley, who brought his youngest fan, son Charles. With Ewing out, the Knicks rely more on their second unit, led by Latrell Sprewell and the high-flying Marcus Camby. Rick Smits knows pain. He's playing with a broken toe. And the Pacers hope without Ewing to guard, Smits can stay out of foul trouble. But the pressure falls, as always, on the slender shoulders of Reggie Miller, who has had so many brilliant moments in the Garden. And inside Madison Square Garden, the 293rd consecutive sellout. It's for Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Garden. You know, they say good things happen in threes, and that was the case for New York sports fans today. Number 1, the Subway Series, the Yankees and the Mets. Number 2, the Belmont Stakes, third leg in racing's Triple Crown for 3-year-olds. And now, Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and the three of us to bring it to you. Tom Hammond with Steve Snapper Jones and Bill Walton. Steve, with Patrick Ewing on the sidelines now with that partially torn Achilles tendon, the equation changes for the New York Knicks.
It does, but it's an equation that they have seen before, Tom, and that they have to find some low post scoring. And the guy that they're going to go to is Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson has become a rejuvenated offensive player for Jeff Van Gundy. His ability to score from all over the floor has really set the tone for the New York Knicks. And when Larry Johnson is scoring the basketball, good things happen for them. His numbers, he is the leading scorer in the series. And, you know, how dedicated is he? Well, this is a guy that's well-groomed, and he has sworn he's not getting a haircut or a shave until they win. And if we see this, the signature, then you know that he is having a huge afternoon.
That's disgusting.
Bill's favorite is the LJ signature. Well, Patrick Ewing is out now, but you know the way Reggie Miller and Rick Smits have been playing, they might as well have been out.
Tom, to have a great playoff run like Indiana is trying to have your stars have to shine and play better and better throughout the playoffs. But that has not been the case for Rick Smits and Reggie Miller. Rick Smits, with that broken toe, unable to pivot or play with his back to the basket. The jumpers are just not there. Defensively, he's been nailed to the floor. He has just resulting in a flagrant fouler who has fouled out of both games. Been very, very disappointing. And for Rick Smits to have fewer total rebounds than Indiana point guard Mark Jackson, that is unacceptable. For Reggie Miller, it has been a similar disappearing act. Phenomenal in round 1, but at this pace, with the declining performance of Reggie Miller, if this goes on much longer, he may be below sea level. Now, the Pacers have been telling us all week long that, hey, we're a better road team than we are home team, and they have not lost on the road this season. But talk is cheap at this point. It is time for the Indiana Pacers to stand tall, Tom.
Speaking of talk, is Larry Bird still talking to you?
Absolutely.
All right.
He is not happy with the way that the Pacers are performing, nor their sense of urgency.
All right, well, we're ready, as you can tell, for Game 3. It's the Pacers and the Knicks. The series tied at 1 win apiece. Game 3 coming up from Madison Square Garden.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Tonight's Eastern Conference Finals game features the Indiana Pacers and your New York Knicks. The head coach of the Pacers, Larry Bird. Now for the Pacers starting lineup. At guard at 6'3" from St. John's, number 13, Mark Jackson. At guard at 6'7" from UCLA, number 31, Reggie Miller. At forward at 6'7" from St. John's, number 17, Chris Mullin. At forward at 6'11" from Clemson, number 32, Dale Davis. And at center at 7'4" from Marist, number 45, Rick Spitz. The head coach for your New York Knicks is Jeff Van Gundy.
Taxi! Yo, 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 yo! Taxi! Yo, yo, I need a ride to the garden. I can't catch a cab. Come on, let's go. You gotta win. Knicks!
From Tennessee, number 20, Allen Houston. At guard at 6'2" from Florida State, number 21, Charlie Ward. And forward at 6'7" from UNLV, number 2, co-captain Larry Johnson. And forward at 6'5" from TCU, number 40, Kurt Thomas. And at center at 6'11" from Yale, number 14, Chris Medley.
And before the tip in game 3, let's check in on our sideline reporter, Jim Gray. Before the tip-off in Game 3, let's check in with Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Well, they call Madison Square Garden the world's most famous arena. It's been the host of such numerous greats as Muhammad Ali, Frank Sinatra, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, amongst many others. But maybe none have had the impact on New York and its fans as has Reggie Miller. In fact, they call Reggie Miller the Knick Killer. Miller has averaged in his 12 playoff games here 26 points per game, and he's won numerous games on final shots and has dominated others. I spoke to Reggie before the game, and he told me that if his team, the Pacers, are to win, he must play much, much better. He has not scored a basket in the past 44 minutes of this series. In fact, Miller says, we are a much, much better road team, and I kind of like it here. Tom?
All right, Jim. Bill, did he leave anyone off that list of famous performers here at the Garden?
Where was Jerry Garcia, who has sold more tickets in this building than any other rock and roll performer? The tie-dye shirt has been retired at Madison Square Garden.
How many Grateful Dead concerts did you attend?
Over 600. Not enough, though.
Ready to go in Game 3. Jess Kersey, Terry Durham, and Steve Javie are the officials.
Again, the secret in this series has been tempo. When the New York Knicks have been able to strike and strike quickly, they've been able to control things. When the Indiana Pacers have been able to slow things down, they have had the edge. We'll see what prevails with no Patrick Ewing.
A big start, critical for Indiana. They're undefeated on the road. They need to come out and dominate early to take this raucous crowd out of it.
Chris Mullin is guarding Chris Dudley. So that's a switch defensively that we expected from Indiana. Larry Johnson misses. They'll have the bigger 6'11" Dale Davis guarding LJ, who's been so productive.
That's a very solid move, and they tried to get Mullen going offensively. But Dale Davis can stand up big and tall over Larry Johnson to negate the huge contribution he's made.
Houston misses the shot off the screen. Smith had it knocked away, and New York has it back.
Now, both teams are jump shooting basketball teams, and the one that's going to be able to get inside is the one that's going to be the most effective. They come to Larry Johnson against Dale Davis.
Smith comes to double. Johnson is fouled.
That backup of LJ's has been the Knicks style at its worst. When he comes in and takes 7 or 8 dribbles trying to get something going for himself. The Knicks are much better when they move that ball around. Larry Bird already concerned about foul trouble to Dale Davis.
So you mean if you get fouled on an attempt to score, it's no good?
Not if it takes everybody else out of the game. He's got all these guys standing around waiting for the ball.
Well, they waited too long because Larry didn't give it up, and now he's put in the 2 free throws up and got them both. So that net 2 points, the result of that possession. Advantage Steve. High post Smits.
It's a long game, Tom.
Reggie Miller, he's the one they need to get on track. Dale Davis rolls in Indiana's first basket.
Dale Davis and Antonio off the bench, not related, have been really the only Pacers playing any kind of basketball for Larry Bird.
Trying to come to Allen Houston against Reggie Miller, and he feels he's got to attack Reggie Miller. He has missed his first couple of opportunities.
0 for 2 is Allen, and Chris Mullen hauls down the rebound for Indiana, looking for their first lead. Miller off of screen. Houston right with him. Houston has really done an underappreciated defensive job on Reggie Miller. Smith over Dudley. Too hard. Johnson the rebound.
Pacers love to establish Rick Smits early, but the game is just not there at all for Rick.
Houston finally gets one down. Allen Houston's first bucket. And the Knicks lead by 2.
When you see Mark Jackson walking the ball up the floor, this is the pace of the game that the Indiana Pacers want. They have to execute at this end of the floor. They're trying to get Smits going. They get a foul against Chris Dudley.
This, of course, is the Knicks' fear. Dudley in foul trouble.
Allen Houston telling us his main weapon against Reggie Miller is to attack him on the defensive end. Pulling the quick trigger, coming off that nice down screen by his teammate.
Mullen for 3. Chris Mullen with a quick shot off his screen has his first basket, and I thought it was a 3. They gave him a 2, apparently. It's 4-4.
Chris Mullen has to shoot his way into this series. He has been completely outplayed by Larry Johnson.
The playoffs are all about matchups, and the ones that favor the Indiana Pacers, they've suddenly changed, so they're going to come back.
Nice hand, Steve.
Clank.
That ball was out of bounds. You don't catch a ball that's out of bounds.
That was right in your wheelhouse, and you just let it go.
Out of bounds. That's the difference. You never learned when a ball was out of bounds.
Now they're
discussing that 3-point
yeah,
shot.
was it a 2 or 3? I thought it was a 3.
Mullen said it was a 3.
Chris is over here talking to Steve. And now they gave it to him, a 3. Yeah, I thought it was a 3 too when he let it go. So it is a 3, and it is an Indiana 1-point lead with the ball.
Shooters also know when they're shooting.
Yeah, they do. He knew all of them.
So how would you know, Steve?
Smith gets tangled up, and Dudley comes up with a loose ball. Ward pushing it. Dudley just now getting down court.
Now, this group that the Knicks have out on the floor is not going to get many cheap opportunities. Dudley with a missed jump hook.
Charlie Ward with a hand check. And there's been a lot of discussion, of course, about the way the series has been called. Jeff Van Gundy complaining. He said whining now is the way to win in the NBA. He said Indiana did it successfully because in Game 2, the Knicks weren't allowed to stand their ground. And so the officiating has been much discussed the first 2 games. There's no call as Davis was bodied by Dudley. Thomas takes down the rebound.
Rick Smith has to finish at least a layup, please.
Mullen slaps it away for Indiana. Mullen for three. Mark Jackson the rebound. Mullen wants it again.
He's wide open, and they decide not to give it to him. Johnson now has to defend Jackson out on the perimeter.
Mullen matched up against Charlie Ward, and an offensive foul called on Chris Mullen.
A lot of teams in the Eastern Conference, Tom, have been trying defensive strategies of switching off their point guard against Chris Mullen. But Chris Mullen has the ability to back guys down. A little flop there.
I thought it was a pretty good shoulder, though, from Mullen. I thought it was a pretty good call.
Well, we're well aware that the Tony Awards will be given out for the best and the brightest in theatrical achievement tomorrow night at the Gershwin Theater. Charlie Ward trying for a late entry in those.
Maybe he needs to consult with Reggie. LJ, the spin, and the foul.
Larry Johnson, offensive foul. Larry Johnson got the hook as he made that quick spin, so he picks up his first personal, but you watch the elbow come out right there to wrap around, and Steve Javie says no.
Why is Larry Johnson trying to back down Dale Davis? Take him out 15 feet, face him up, and get to the hoop. Draw some more fouls.
Smits. Charging foul. Wipe out the basket. Smits, as Dudley took the foul charge, and Smits had a head of steam, and he wasn't going to stop for anything or anybody.
Well, the Indiana Pacers are trying to break that string where they stay out on the perimeter, and Smits is coming hard, and he is not going to be denied the opportunity, but Dudley steps in front of the line and gets the charge.
Not the prettiest of starts, almost halfway through the first quarter, and it's 5-4 Indiana.
New York's 1 of 6, Indiana 2 of 7 shooting.
Well, let's remember that Indiana has had droughts all season long, and in game 2 when they had an 18-point lead, they went 5 minutes 45 seconds without a field goal.
Chris Mullen commits his second foul.
He had the offensive foul earlier. That's his first defensive foul. The Knicks are going to take a timeout.
He's in shock.
What are they doing to me today? They didn't give me the 3, and now they call another foul. We'll be back. Welcome back to Madison Square Garden. We've had 7 fouls called in the first 4.5 minutes or so of play, and Jeff Van Gundy, the officiating has been very much on his mind. He has a new theory. Let's hear it.
No, whining wins in the NBA. No, that's the new success formula. Chicago had it perfected, and they always got the benefit in the next game. Indiana whined its way to 40 foul calls in game 2. We could guard Mark Jackson in the first game. Second game, the Knicks could not guard Mark Jackson. They would not allow it. We're not the physical team. Heck, we start 6-foot Charlie Ward, 6'6" slender Allen Houston. Larry Johnson's undersized. Kurt Thomas is undersized. And we have 2 physical players on our whole team, and they got these monsters coming in bigger, stronger than we are, and somehow we're the physical team.
I have a feeling Jeff would have preferred we play that for the officials.
Well, that's a very oblique way of whining.
That's right.
But that's when you know that you're playing, is when you're the shorter team and you have to rely on quickness. You're playing against the Pacers, who are the biggest squad in the NBA, and you're beating them. Basically, with the home court advantage now, the Knicks.
Well, the Knicks are complaining here. They wanted a new 24, but the clock didn't. The clock is not reset because the ball did not hit anything. Dudley tapped it, but it went to the glass, and that's all.
So 17 to shoot. To Charlie Ward, inbounds to Houston.
You need more than 17 seconds to get a shot off. You're having problems.
Houston stepped on the sideline, stepped out of bounds, and the Knicks will turn it over again. New York off to a ragged start, turning the ball over, and only 1 of 9 shooting.
Now, they don't appear to know how to get a shot off, and that's been their concern. Sprewell is up and getting ready to come in the ball game.
He knows how to get shots up, Steve.
Smith's guarded by Thomas. Travel. Nope, they're going to call an offensive foul.
Well, you know, they've been trying to keep Smits in ball games as Sprewell comes in.
So Latrell Sprewell into the game for the Knicks, trying to jump-start their offense. He replaces Kurt Thomas.
But with Rick Smits to the bench, And Antonio Davis in. Larry Bird is perturbed beyond belief with the performance of Rick Smits. Absolutely nothing.
Houston, travel. The two teams have now combined for 8 turnovers and only 3 field goals.
You know, this is an example of what happens when teams are uncertain and not going to the people that know how to play offense. Allen Houston too quick on that move. Reggie Miller's first shot.
And finally, the drought broken for Reggie Miller, who gets a bucket after approaching 50 minutes without a field goal.
But what did Coach Wooden tell Coach Jeff Van Gundy yesterday? Quit having your players back in. Tell them to turn and face and play with quickness.
Bill Walton was talking to his college coach, the legendary John Wooden, on the telephone when Jeff Van Gundy, as Larry Johnson misses, Dudley puts it home. When Jeff Van Gundy came into our meeting room and immediately got on the phone with Coach Wooden and brightened up, Jeff Van Gundy, you could tell it was the highlight of his day to talk to Coach Wooden, the legendary Wizard of Westwood. Miller, having hit his last shot, throws up an air ball with good defense from Houston. Here's Sprewell. Popped out, Dudley. Missed it, tapped in by Johnson.
What a pass, Chris Dudley. He saw the defense coming at the last moment, put it to the far side, the old Andy Overdrill, Steve.
Mark Jackson for 3. Jackson with the 3-pointer. Makes it a 2-point Indiana lead.
Only a 7-footer could see a pass like that.
The Knicks have done a phenomenal job of defending the 3-point shot. A great weapon for the Pacers.
Now, this is where Sprewell struggles in the half court. If he can get you in an open court and he can come at you, either pull up and bring it all the way to the hoop, he's been terrific. When he's had to try to score in the half court, he has struggled.
Davis. Antonio Davis with a miss. Dudley doing a good job on the boards. Has his 4th rebound.
Dudley has outplayed Rick Smits and stayed out of foul trouble.
Charlie Ward misses the layup. Antonio Davis takes the carom, and Indiana has it up 2. Jackson got away from Ward. Takes it back. Right by him again. Mark Jackson blows by Charlie Ward to lay it in. You expect Jackson to take the smaller Ward down on the low post. That time he just went right around it.
Van Gundy realizes that Chris Childs, the backup point, is a much better defensive matchup against the strength of Mark Jackson.
Houston can't finish.
But Allen Houston, again, is a little bit too quick with everything. He needs to calm himself down. Turnover against Reggie Miller and the Indiana Pacers. Took his eye off of that one.
Chris Childs ready to come in for New York. He'll replace Charlie Ward.
The quickness of Mark Jackson freezing Charlie Ward, and Chris Dudley was out trying to deny the pick and roll, so no defensive rotation whatsoever. Where was Kurt Thomas?
Kurt Thomas was on the bench.
Yeah, he's over there on the bench, sitting next to Jeff Van Gundy.
Obviously tough to make a block from there.
Sprewell nearly lost it after the screen from Johnson. Childs now at the point. Johnson has the open shot. Passed it up. Drives. And had his shot altered, nearly blocked.
Larry Johnson
should have shot the jumper.
He's making tougher shots out of easy ones. You know, there was no sense in bringing it into that kind of defensive pressure with an idea of how to get the shot away.
But never double clutch when you have the quickness advantage. Just get up in the air while he's still down.
Illegal defense is the call, the first one against New York.
When you've got him on the perimeter, the pump fake, you freeze him there. You're to the lane, just explode. Go up and roll that hook over the top. Nothing the defense can do. It doesn't matter how big you are in there.
You got to have a hook to roll a hook.
He's got one.
LJ's only 1 of 5 to start the game, and New York hitting 17%. Antonio Davis couldn't get the roll. LJ the rebound. Here's the field goal shooting, abysmal by the Knicks to open the game.
Mullen. Oh, they give this one to Mark Jackson on the hold.
It's interesting talking to Van Gundy about the start. You said a 17% field goal percentage. he really needed Allen Houston and Larry Johnson to come out huge today. Those are the guys that can set the tempo and hold off the Pacers until this dynamic second unit can get on the court.
Nice drive by Allen Houston. Went one-on-one against Reggie Miller and scored his 4th point.
Well, Houston's got to have one of those days where he works his way into an offensive rhythm and he can't stop scoring, and that was a good effort by him.
Reggie Miller, he scored only 2. Fakes Dudley, couldn't get the foul call and threw it away. Childs leads a 3-on-2 break. Sprewell. There's the running game, keyed by that second unit, Childs to Sprewell.
And anchored now by Larry Johnson at the power forward position. Larry Bird forced to take a timeout. The Knicks are right back.
Allen Houston on a terrific individual effort, got himself under control and was able to finish that one against the defense of Reggie Miller.
And then Larry Johnson digs it out, kicks it ahead. Knicks on the run, too tough. Sprewell, just an unbelievable finisher.
Tie game, the NBA on NBC. .12-12 game. At times in his career, Patrick Ewing has stood as tall as the Empire State Building. And it was 5 years ago today the Knicks and Pacers met in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Patrick Ewing came up big, 24 points and a playoff career-high 22 rebounds. His rebound and slam off this John Starks miss with 26 seconds remaining put the Knicks ahead to stay as New York won and advanced to the NBA Finals. Now Patrick still wants that ring, but he'll have to watch from the sidelines. He met with his team before practice the other day and said, I have confidence and faith in you. And he closed by saying, get me that ring.
Patrick wearing that cast, he'll be in that for at least 6 weeks. Very, very disappointing scenario for Patrick. Larry Johnson as the power forward has been dynamic here.
In the ball game for the Indiana Pacers, Derek McKee, his job is to shut down Larry Johnson in the middle. Allen Houston over the top.
He missed it. Jalen Rose and Derek McKee in for Indiana as Mullen and Dale Davis go out.
Derek McKee and Sam Perkins, the two most skilled big men for Larry Bird, they have been non-factors in this series.
Antonio Davis, back rim to LJ. 5 rebounds for him.
To go along with his 4 points.
Childs lobs it into Dudley. The defense forgot about him. And Dudley scored his 4th point.
Well, that's become his weapon of choice right there. The little jump hook gets it to nestle in. But these rims, I think someone went up with a couple extra screws, tighten them at both ends. Everything is in and out. Miller.
Well, if the rims aren't tight, the players are. But there's Reggie Miller, who nails his first 3 in a long while, stopping a 6-0 New York run.
Steve, you mentioned Chris Dudley's jump hook. Akeem better watch out. Dudley is coming.
Next we know he'll be asking him for free throw advice. They throw it right to Mark Jackson. Miller running the floor, appeared to have a step. Now Jalen Rose misses a 3. McKee with a rebound. We're in the final 40 seconds of the first quarter. Antonio Davis. First basket for Antonio, and New York now trails by 3.
Antonio's been having good numbers, been putting the stats on the board for Bird, but the impact has not been there.
Coming to Sprewell down on the post-up. Jalen Rose has done a good job of making him take tough shots, slap that one back. 8 on the shot clock, so they'll reset. But he's not been able to really back down and jump over Jalen Rose in this series.
And here for the first time is Marcus Camby, who's been very active in the series, replacing Chris Dudley.
Steve, why is Latrell Sprewell trying to back guys down? Take him out on the perimeter and drive by him.
Or shoot from outside. Came up short. Childs the rebound. Shot clock off as we come down to 10 seconds in the first quarter.
They messed him up. He was ready to go. He was going to shoot. Van Gundy had his hand up. Larry Johnson said, don't shoot. Now let's see if the Knicks get a shot off.
Dangerous cross-court pass. Bounced off the back of Jess Kersey. The official, New York gets it. 1.5 remaining in the quarter.
Guarantee you, Child said, at least we would have got a shot. Now, I don't know.
Sprewell could get a shot in the 1.5.
Johnson for 3. We're all making the LJ sign over here at the table.
Not me. Enough of the self-promotion of Larry Johnson.
Well, Larry Johnson must have known something about the last second shot. This is deep. That is about 28 feet. Nothing but the bottom of the net. And, Bill, this second look just for you.
Well, maybe he was thinking about last year's 1.6 and the I can't take it anymore game. This time I'll make a shot instead of getting myself thrown out and suspended.
We love Larry. Tied at the end of one thanks to LJ's heroics. Start the second quarter tied at 17. That's Yankee Stadium up in the Bronx you're looking at. Quiet now, but earlier today, the Yankees won the second game of their Subway Series with the Mets, 6-3. And the game over in time for one of their stars, Derek Jeter, the world champions, to make his way here to the Garden. And he's with Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Derek, 1 for 2 today with a double. Big home run last night. Has this been like the World Series for you here in New York this weekend?
I think as a team, you know, we try to keep things in perspective because it's a 162-game series. But it's a World Series for the fans. You know, I live in Manhattan, and if we lose this series, I don't think I can leave my apartment.
Now, you're a big Knicks fan, obviously. Your feelings on Patrick Ewing and him missing out on this?
It's real unfortunate. I mean, he's been playing for the Knicks for a while. He got a great chance to win a championship this year, but hopefully the Knicks will rally around him and come up with a championship anyway.
Yankees struggling a little bit. Do you think we'll see you come postseason?
Most definitely. We've been playing well the last couple weeks, and I think we're starting to roll now.
All right, Derek, we look forward to it. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.
All right, the playoffs and the World Series on NBC this year, Tom.
All right, Jim. Indiana with a miss. New York's rebound. Sprewell to Camby. Knocked away. Camby got it back. His shot no good. And Mark Jackson the rebound. Travis Best and Sam Perkins entering the game for Indiana during the timeout.
But again, all the loose balls going to the Knicks, particularly Marcus Camby. If he can only make a jumper, go along with those dunks and blocks.
Now, remember what Larry Bird told us at the start of game one. He felt that his second unit could defend and make it difficult for the Knicks second quick units. We'll find out whether their defensive energy is up to it. Ball goes on the floor. The Knicks wanted more, and they get a turnover with a 24-second shot clock violation.
Steve, when you say that the Knicks wanted more, that just has to grate at Larry Bird so much. The road game, this is the Pacers' 4th road game of this year's playoffs. They have led at the end of one in all 3 games. They have been off to huge starts. Today they were tied, though, of grave concern to Larry Bird.
And tied despite the fact that the Knicks shot only 28% from the floor.
But the Knicks got 7 more shot attempts, due in large part to their quickness. They controlled the boards, had fewer turnovers, and LJ was magnificent with 7 points, and 5 rebounds. And 3 signature demonstrations.
Derek McKee with the Indiana foul. Here is LJ in action. Double team, scrapping, fakes, got it up and in. Wow.
The longer we stay here, the more Bill becomes a fan of Larry Johnson. You notice the word magnificent came out the last time.
9 points for LJ.
I got to get my thesaurus out here. Slow pass by Sam Perkins. That ball just floated in there.
You know, the playoffs are about resolve, and Larry Johnson has really shown that he's got a lot of heart and a lot of tenacity this afternoon. Coming in, getting them up in the air, off-balance shot goes in.
What happened to 3 seconds in the key?
He lost the ball.
That doesn't stop the 3 seconds.
5 to shoot, and Davis makes sure. Antonio Davis slams it down. New York attacks right away. Chris Childs. Rebounded by McKee. 4 rebounds for Derek.
Knicks need to get Sprewell more shots.
That's what Latrell said, I'm sure. We asked many of the Knicks about who would take up the shots that Ewing wouldn't get, and they said unanimously, Latrell can handle that. Sam Perkins' first basket.
Well, we know it wasn't going to be Chris Dudley, that's for sure.
Actually, you were the one that asked Marcus Camby, was he going to get more shots with Ewing out, and he laughed and said, no, Latrell can handle that, as LJ does it again. And I guess, Bill, you have some personal experience with that.
When I played for Larry Bird on the '86 champion Celtic team, I had the rare opportunity to start a game. And I came extra early. I was stretching out. Larry came and stood over the top of me and said, Bill, all those shots you think you're going to get that belong to the Chief, Robert Parrish, those are my shots. You get to the weak side and start rebounding. I didn't get a single look that day.
And we bet Latrell will get his, but right now, the ball in the hands of LJ. And Larry Johnson dominating the game. We're tied at 21.
So the New York Knicks have found a weapon in the low post efforts of Larry Johnson. And if you talk to all of the Knicks, what they say about Larry Johnson, he is the most driven and the best teammate that anyone on the Knicks can have. And he's found a lot of ways to energize his team this evening. He has been able to score outside, inside. He's done a terrific job of rebounding the basketball, and it's been the Larry Johnson efforts early. As you see his office, those greens, those are all makes, Bill.
Everything on the right side of the floor.
Everybody's doing the LJ here at the Garden.
Well, that's a sad sign. We're going to have kids all over the world into self-promotion, into drawing attention to themselves. What about the beauty and dignity of the game of basketball and the team? Please, Larry.
Well, Larry has dominated the game. 11 points and 5 rebounds. He's scored the last 7 for New York over a 4-minute span. But remember, game 2, he scored 17 in the first half, only 5 in the second.
Childs, after Best fell down, behind the back, got it.
Chris Childs letting his game do his talking for him, rather than LJ, who's always trying to throw that.
Well, it's a little harder to do a CC. Rose with a miss. Canby wipes the board clean.
What the Knicks small unit has been able to do is limit the Indiana Pacers to one opportunity. So it's been one shot. They try to squeeze it in between the defense.
Chris Childs, the creativity. After he digs it out defensively, Travis Best just inexplicably falls to the floor. That's something I was very good at there, Steve.
Falling to the floor?
No.
Oh, no, too late. You walked right into that snare. I tell you what, oh, it jerked you way up in the air.
I'm talking about the behind the back.
Johnson was open, and he's going to use a little clock and try to break down Derek McKee.
Double team comes. He gives it up to Thomas. Can't hit. Put up and in by Canby.
The Pacers rooted to the floor defensively. Sam Perkins, Antonio Davis, Derek McKee. Get a rebound one time, please.
It is only a 4-point ball game, and all the Indiana Pacers need to do is find someone that can score with each possession. They come to the low post and Sam Perkins.
Perkins got the roll. Tough shot. Kirk Thomas had a hand in his face, and Perkins with 4 off the Indiana bench.
Sam, one of 3 Indiana Pacers who are from the New York City area here. Sam being the oldest. The senior member had all the tickets in the locker room before the game.
Sprewell. Finger rolls it in. Suddenly New York catching fire. Sprewell has 4, and the New York lead is 4.
You say suddenly like you're surprised. Now, every time Sprewell, Canby, and Childs come in, the game just completely changes.
But aren't you the one that told us that quickness is something that you can learn? And if it is, you better give the lesson to the Pacers quickly.
It's about what you think. Oh, what a terrible play by Antonio.
Saved it right to Canby, who is fouled.
Latrell Sprewell is at his best when he can turn and face and make a move, and that was a tough left-handed finger roll for 2.
Explosive, creative players off the bench who can turn a game around are so rare in today's NBA. The Knicks have 2 of them, not only Latrell Sprewell, but Marcus Camby as well. In game 2, Marcus Camby following in his own miss, leaving the Pacers riveted to the floor. His shot blocking has been exquisite. On the offensive glass, he has been tough, determined, ferocious, feeding off loose balls, finding plays, drawing charges that were incorrectly called. And then at the hoop once again today, Marcus Camby, who was not wanted by Jeff Van Gundy early in the season has turned his season all the way around, and he told us yesterday that it was the support of Larry Johnson that got him through all the hard times.
While watching the game, log on to NBA.com for exclusive conference finals coverage, bringing you expert analysis, head-to-head stats, live sortable shot charts, in-game video highlights, and a chance to listen in to the complete post-game press conferences, all at NBA.com. Well, after this series and actually the last part of the season, no more questions about Marcus Camby's toughness and dedication.
No question about that. I think that they misread him. You know, he's a certain kind of player, but he's not a physical Charles Oakley type of guy that's going to be knocking people down. He's not a bruiser, but he certainly is a competitor.
But to Van Gundy's credit, Camby didn't come in here with a good, solid work ethic.
Sprewell misses from outside after Best had made a nice move to lay it in. The Pacers have not yet attempted a free throw. They have 11 field goals and 10 turnovers.
I guess Van Gundy was right. Whining does win.
I'm going to try it on you a time or two.
I thought you were.
Larry Johnson picks up the foul there. He does not agree with the call. Rick Smits is going to come in the ball game along with Reggie Miller, and that means Antonio Davis is going down, Derek McKee going down, and Allen Houston is in for Larry Johnson.
Steve, have you ever seen a more non-productive period in Derek McKee's career when he was healthy?
Well, we don't know if he's healthy. He's playing, but we don't know if he's 100% healthy, and certainly Larry Bird would like to see him give him something, so he's going to have to be more aggressive out there, and that's always been a complaint. You never know when the real Derek McKee is going to show up.
Reggie Miller missing the three-pointer right off the bench. Houston had the D on him, and here's Camby from Houston with the slam and one.
The Pacer defense absolutely breaking down. The hard pick early on Reggie Miller. That allows Allen Houston to come down the lane. Allen Houston had two guys, one on each side. Kurt Thomas on the left side, but he decides to go to Camby here.
Looked off the defense and found Camby. And since Marcus Camby entered the game late in the first quarter, New York has outscored Indiana 16-8.
And that has got more substitutions for Larry Bird. Dale Davis and Mark Jackson in, Travis Best and Sam Perkins down. Knicks get it back.
Tom, the plus-minus for Marcus Camby, the plus-minus for Latrell Sprewell throughout this series has to be absolutely huge for New York.
Is this math that only people
math.
UCLA know?
It's not about geography, Steve. It's about math today.
Especially after you had Lake Michigan and Indiana last week.
I checked out the map. Lake Michigan does come in contact with the state of Indiana.
Smits with a miss. He still can't get it going. Sprewell all the way. Latrell Sprewell catches the Indiana defense napping.
Well, that tells you that you can run. Everybody's been saying in this year's defense that you can't do it, but Sprewell just makes up his mind and beats everybody else down the floor. They lead in fast break points 6-0. Foul Sprewell.
Sprewell, we talked about that plus-minus. When he's been in the game, the Knicks have gone up 8. When he's been out in the opening moments, they've fallen behind by 1. But the quickness again that we've talked about throughout this series, shocking at the beginning. That's a great finish.
You see that defense that Dale Davis was playing? He was waving in air. He knew somebody was coming. He just didn't know where.
Here's the post up by Mark Jackson. The double comes. Smits is the open man. And Rick Smits finally hits his shot. 1 of 4 to open the game.
You know, Smits' offense really works better for him when he can face the basket, get some confidence, and then go back in the low post. Sprewell.
Steve, he told us he can't pivot. That broken toe he has. The quickness again of Marcus Camby.
Who else? Marcus Camby. Man, has he been active in this series. He's just throwing his body all over the court.
Now the guy that's got to provide it right here, Jalen Rose, trying to go one-on-one, had it knocked away, but he's got to give them some scoring. You can see the energy and the excitement from Marcus Camby. He is just flying in all over the place. Nobody boxes him out, and when that happens, good things happen for Camby and the Knicks.
8 seconds on the shot clock for Indiana. Steve, we talked at the beginning about how quickness is a mental skill. It's about preparation and anticipation. That's what Marcus Camby is doing, separating himself from the crowd.
Camby with 7 points and 4 boards in 8 minutes off the bench. Smits. Thomas fouled him. Smits with a chance for a three-point play. Kurt Thomas lunged at him after the ball was gone and committed a foolish foul.
Well, he should slap himself in the head because, I mean, the man is wide open. He's going to be there late, and he's not going to have a chance. Just continues to come in. Smits gets his second hoop, and it's a chance for the three-point play. But see how far away he is. You got no chance to cover that ground when you can't fly in the air. Thomas out of the ball game.
Replaced by Chris Dudley as Indiana is about to attempt the first free throw after almost 20 minutes of play.
Smits a full 7-4 on the offensive end. You don't have a real chance to guard him out there. The reason that he can't play underneath the basket with his back to the basket is that his feet are so sore he can no longer pivot. He has to just stand and face it.
Houston against Miller. Baseline drive and a bucket. Allen Houston put the move on Reggie Miller.
Nice defense. What, you're just going to let a guy drive to the hoop and make a layup?
Smits back to Jackson. There's the re-entry pass, and Dudley with a hand in the back commits the foul.
You know, Bill, you were a great shot blocker, but you never had to come out here and deal with anything like that. So Houston makes a nice quick move to the middle, and there's no hey, Red. Where was Rick Smith?
You're saying that we never had to contend with Dr. J coming to the hoop at us?
We don't want to have any flashbacks of Dr. J against you.
We won that series, Steve. And Dr. J will admittedly, or he'll regrettably admit that.
Rick Smits once again at the free throw line. Next Saturday, our coverage of the WNBA tips off with the highly anticipated national television pro debut of two-time collegiate player of the year Shamiqua Holtzclaw and the Washington Mystics as they take on league MVP Cynthia Cooper and the world champion Houston Comets. The WNBA next Saturday, 4 Eastern on NBC.
Welcome to the league, Shamiqua. You got to go right in and play Houston at the Summit.
Rebecca Lobo sitting there pulling for her New York Knicks, but Smith has come in, 7 quick points, and he's keeping the game close. That's all the Indiana Pacers need right now is just to stay in contact. Houston again.
Jump stop, left hand, short. Houston was able to wade in and get his own, and then Smits ties him up.
Smits has found a rhythm, finally.
He went the first 19 minutes without scoring, and now 7 points in the last 2 minutes. Good defensive play there.
Let me remind you, lads, that you can't score when you're on the bench. He got in early foul trouble, so he had to sit down.
But he doesn't practice, Steve, so how can he have any rhythm at the beginning of the game? He has to use the opening minutes to get ready.
Houston nearly outjumped the 7'4" Smits, but Indiana has it.
He's 7'4" on the offensive end, Tom.
New York has 10 offensive rebounds in this game to only 3 for the bigger Pacers. Jackson, entry pass, Smits is wide open. Dudley lost him, and Rick Smits makes him pay. He is in a rhythm, and he does have 9 points.
Smits does have a history of having some of his best road games right here in this building. Timeout, New York.
Knicks take a timeout, and their lead has been cut to 2. Rick Smits has scored Indiana's last 9 points, including this latest bucket. It's 36-34, the NBA on NBC. 2-point game, as you said, and Mario Elie, when he came to San Antonio, challenged the Spurs to shed that soft image, and I think they've been successful in doing that.
How about the job David Robinson did last night as we look at Smits tonight, a big rebound from Game 2 disaster, but David Robinson, 7 blocks. Every one of them led to a fast break, just kept them all in play. Terrific poise and confidence by the Spurs. And if the Blazers could only learn how to play as a team instead of a bunch of scattered individuals, they'd be a lot better off.
My. The Trailblazers are trying to do something that nobody else has ever done, and that's come back from 3 down, but they got to start with a win. They played that team close. Can they get some belief and get one win and get themselves started? Because what the San Antonio Spurs have that they never had is resilience.
Allen Houston made a good move to get open, then missed the shot. It'll be Indiana's ball, and Rick Smits over the last 3 minutes has outscored New York by himself 9-4.
Reggie coming up out of that scuffle lame a little bit. Marcus Camby putting so much pressure on the offensive glass over the backs of the Pacers.
Now remember, in other games where Reggie has come up limping, and we've done this year, he's also come out deadly, and he starts going to work. Back to Smith.
And he gets the soft touch roll. Rick Smits, 11 points in the last 3 minutes plus.
Smits is doing a terrific job of initiating contact, bumping Dudley off balance. Dudley has had success in the past against Smits, not in this stretch today.
Well, Smits has got the ball game tied up. Sprewell trying to break it. Finally gets a tough hoop over Jalen Rose.
Latrell Sprewell knocks it down, 38-36. Inside 2 minutes left in the half.
That's been the difference, though. When everything is bogging down for New York, Sprewell can bail him out.
Speaking of bailing, the Duncan Dutchman is bailing pretty hard right now. He has 13, a one-man New York wrecking crew at the moment.
He might have been at the Belmont because they are riding him pretty hard today.
What are you talking about?
Back to Sprewell, and they double up on him, but they're trying to get him back on the post. He's got to make a quick move against the clock. 7 on the clock.
Sprewell wanted to foul, didn't get the call. There is a loose ball foul on the rebound.
One of the concerns for Jeff Van Gundy is foul trouble. 3 now on Chris Dudley. Ewing, of course, out. There's 6 fouls that you can't use. Dudley has to play now, not so much as a fouler, but as a defender. Herb Williams, 41 years old. Look for him to play a big role at some point in the rest of this series.
I just think about it. The rest of the Indiana Pacers in the quarter have scored 8 points, and it has been Rick Smits doing all of the business in this 4-10. And this tells you how important offense is. And when you get a guy going, and then you better stay with him. And I know that Larry Bird believes in, hey, if you're hot, we're staying with you. He's got 14 and counting with that free throw.
But remember, after Patrick Ewing played 40 minutes in game 1, Larry Bird said if Rick Smits ever played 40 minutes, he wouldn't be able to play again for 2 years with the pain he's got in those feet. Rick playing with the broken big toe, left big toe.
And Dudley goes to the bench with those 3 fouls. And as you said, 41-year-old Herb Williams, 18th year in the NBA, the oldest player in the league, enters the lineup for New York with 1:16 left till halftime. Let's go to Jim Gray.
Tom, Rick Smits has scored all 15 of his points. He came back into the game with 6-11 here in the second quarter, so all in the last 5 minutes. Herb Williams, before the game, he's one of the captains. He went out with Mark Jackson. Mark said, hey, I'm not used to seeing you sweat before the game. And Herb said, I'm not used to playing, but I'm going to tonight. Tom?
And he's on the floor right now. Meanwhile, Marcus Camby with another one of those New York offensive rebounds. And the putback is good for his 9th point. It's 40-40 with 50 seconds left till halftime. Miller for 3. Reggie Miller notches the three-pointer. He has 8 in the game.
And the 2 guys that have to carry Indiana, Miller and Smits. Smits has already done his job. Now they're trying to wake up Reggie Miller. Sprewell trying to answer.
Latrell Sprewell couldn't hit it.
Foul on Herb Williams, but Spree is forcing shots. He's getting nothing in transition. It's tough to fast break against Indiana generally. Not in this series, but generally because their offense is so patient and disciplined. Reggie Miller hits that last 3. Allen Houston's got to know, defend the 3-point shot. Make Reggie put it on the floor, particularly to his left. Reggie getting battered around. But Allen is just too far off him right there.
Well, Reggie Miller is the guy that's going to end up at the free throw line. They call a foul. I thought the foul was against Herb Williams. I don't know how Reggie got to the line. It looked like Rick Smith ought to be the guy coming back, but Miller knocks down his first free throw.
Foul was on Herb Williams, but in the melee, apparently Reggie Miller was the man fouled and the best in the NBA at the line.
Well, Smits is on the bench now. Dale Davis, Sam Perkins, back in the ballgame.
What about Indiana, the excellent free throw shooting team, best in the league, missing 18 free throws in game 2, and Reggie even missed 3.
Well, the shooting percentages in this series have all been in favor of the Knicks, something you rarely associate with New York.
Camby with a slam from Childs.
It has been a terrific second quarter as Childs gets knocked down by Mark Jackson. No call.
If the Pacers are not going to deny penetration to Chris Childs, they're not going to win this series.
Final 10 seconds of the first half. Jackson posting up, backing Childs down. Whips it to an open Jalen Rose. Driving, shot good off the glass with 2:10 left. Jalen Rose with the bucket to end the half. Rick Smits off the Indiana bench, blazing hot, 15 points in the last 4 minutes, 55 seconds of the half. Don't be fooled by that New York towel. He's been big for the Indiana Pacers in this first half. Patrick Ewing sees his team go to the locker room, down by 5, 47-42 in Game 3. Now stay tuned for the Prudential Halftime Report coming up after these messages. You're watching the NBA on NBC. Halftime in the Big Apple, New York City, Madison Square Garden, Game 3, Eastern Conference Finals. Indiana Pacers went on a 22-10 run to close the half, and they have the lead here at intermission. Lady Liberty holding sway in New York Harbor. Just a few moments ago, the Knicks got together and they probably said, how can we stop Rick Smits? With 5 minutes to go in the half, Smits was 0 for 3, and here they are. Smits was 0 for 3. The Pacers trailed by 7. Smits comes back in the game, and all he does in 5 minutes is score 15 straight points. What in the world ignited Rick Smits?
Tom, the Pacers finally forgot about gimmicks and trying to take advantage of Patrick Ewing, who's not even here. They said, look, let's just play basketball. Rick Smits came out, found his rhythm after a horrible start. Reggie Miller did a lot of things out there. When the two stars deliver, good things happen. It was a horrible start, Steve, for Rick Smits, but he did finally get into it.
Well, Rick Smits got in foul trouble early, and this was a big foul right here that put him on the bench. And then when he returned to the ball game, he started outside in. And when he can catch the ball, face the basket, get that jumper of his going, then he becomes a big threat, and that's what happened to get the 15 points.
And Indiana's two big weapons, Rick Smits and Reggie Miller, came on late in the half, and the Pacers are up 47-42. Third quarter coming up.
Welcome back to Madison Square Garden as we get ready for the second half. I'm Jim Gray. I spoke to Jeff Van Gundy. He was very unhappy with all the good shots that the Pacers got, shooting 54%. He said that is the reason that Latrell Sprewell really wasn't involved. He got no transition opportunities. They're going to try and get him involved with some more turnovers in the second half. As for Larry Bird, very unhappy with the turnovers, unhappy with the offensive rebounding. They were out-rebounded 11-3 on the offensive boards. And finally, spoke to Mark Jackson, and he said, as Marcus Camby comes in on a slam dunk, Mark Jackson said that they will not be looking specifically for Rick Smits here in the second half. They will only go to the guy who's open. Tom?
All right, Jim. Charlie Ward with a steal, and Camby, who starts the second half, gets the finish. It's Ward, Johnson, Thomas, Houston, and Camby for New York. Indiana has its familiar starting quintet in there, and here's Rick Smits. He got another one. He's still on fire. 17 for Rick Smits in the last 5 minutes.
If they don't come back to Rick Smits, something's really wrong over on that Pacer bench.
Is Mark Jackson thinking we're crazy? The hottest hand out on the floor belongs to Rick Smits.
They changed the plan.
Marcus Camby.
Camby up and under. 4 points to start the third quarter. Indiana has Jackson, Smits, Dale Davis, Chris Mullen, and Reggie Miller.
Tom, Marcus Camby's got 15 points in 14 minutes.
Charlie Ward should have given it up. They had a 3-on-2. It'll be Indiana's ball.
The problem was that Larry Johnson was out in front of the ball. When there's a 2-on-1, which is created by the defense of Larry Johnson, then Larry gets out in front of the ball, and there's no angle for Charlie Ward to pass that ball.
What about Camby, the trailer there?
Well, I'll drop it behind your back, sure, but these quarterbacks, they don't know that.
Thinking back to that pass at the end of game 2, only a quarterback could have made that one. It was brilliant.
That was a great pass. These quarterbacks, they can't see behind them like basketball players can.
Jackson backing Ward down. Ward trying to stay in front of him. Jackson's little jump hook right under the rim. Couldn't hit it. Got his own rebound, and then Ward swiped it.
Terrific hands, Kurt Thomas.
Houston to Thomas. Missed the layup. Thomas again, blocked by Smits. Thomas a third time, lost it. Here's Jackson. He's got 3-on-2.
Was that Kurt Thomas or Charles Smith? Who could forget the Charles Smith self-check that kept the Knicks from beating the Chicago Bulls?
Now there's another foul against Kurt Thomas, and Jeff Van Gundy is saying, guys, we got to continue to get back defensively, make sure you got some sort of pressure against Rick Smits, who is sizzling right now.
Kurt Thomas has 3 fouls, but Indiana has turned it over 3 times in their 5 possessions to start the third quarter. Davis, another turnover.
The quick hands.
Camby knocked it away. Allen Houston stumbled and still scored.
Now the defense of the New York Knicks has forced some breaking opportunities, and Allen Houston gets his first. So Van Gundy obviously lost his voice in that locker room, telling these guys they have to do a better job defensively.
Mark Jackson rattles it home. Jackson with a nice move to the hoop, and Indiana up again by 3.
There doesn't seem to be a game plan defensively for either squad as to how they're going to handle the pick and rolls.
Now here's the play. Marcus Camby against Chris Mullin, and he can get a shot anytime he wants to. He actually get a lot closer than that. He scored one earlier just by breaking down and making a quick move and got within 2 feet.
Camby getting the second half start in place of Chris Dudley. Got the shot but couldn't hit it. And here's Mark Jackson, 2 in a row for Jackson. He's taken Charlie Ward right to the rim. And a 20-second timeout by the Knicks.
Van Gundy is just incredibly irate with Charlie Ward as to how he's defending that pick and roll.
Well, they're turning him into the middle, but watch where Kurt Thomas is. He just watches him come into the lane, and then's going to try to make a play right at the rim. It's too late. He needs to be up and making Mark Jackson turn the other way. Once you let a player get that deep, bad things happen, and Jackson has scored back-to-back hoops.
Remember, we talked about that Game 2 pass from the former Heisman winner, Charlie Ward. New York trailed by 2. 2 seconds left, no timeouts. Ward looked like the quarterback again as he connected to Patrick Ewing, who got off the jump shot but couldn't hit it. And the Pacers held on for that 2-point win to even the series.
Always tough when that last one doesn't go down, as Reggie Miller so aptly reminded Patrick Ewing in the post-game press conference of Game 2 in a very poignant moment.
That was nice. Charlie Ward looking inside. One of those UCLA moves.
Well, that's because UCLA usually wins.
Now they have Larry Johnson trying to get him started, but he's holding the ball. 8 on the shot clock.
Shot was there the whole time. He finally took it and buried it. 13 for LJ. New York back within 3. Miller threw it too high, but a push.
Terrific call. The ball was thrown up in the air for Dale Davis on the right side screen and roll. The hold in the low back kept him from elevating.
Kurt Thomas goes out of the game with 4 fouls, replaced by Chris Dudley. Let's go to Jim Gray.
Spoke to Reggie Miller, Tom, at halftime. He did get a Charlie horse on his left thigh. Limping a little bit, says it should not affect this play. Tom?
All right, Jim. Here's Rick Smits. Steps. Smits travels, collides with Charlie Ward and knocks him 5 feet. Threw the ball at him and got the tee.
But if you see Steve Gavey out on the floor, if you see a disgusted Larry Bird, you know there's one thing that will happen in any situation like this. Ward is going to go down. Now watch Rick Smits look and then flip the ball in his direction, and Gavey just takes it out, gives him a tee.
That was a bad call on the traveling violation. That was excellent, if not perfect, footwork by Rick Smits.
Then he should have thrown the ball at the referee and not at Charlie.
That's not a good idea.
I see. 5 turnovers in the quarter for Indiana. There's the call, and there's the toss of the ball that got him the tee.
Remember the Tony Awards tomorrow night at the Gershwin Theater.
They're going to get a foul right here at this end for the New York Knicks. I think it's going to be against Dale Davis on the push against Larry Johnson.
Second foul on Dale.
Larry Bird is a man of few words, but of many expressions, and you can see Dale Davis just crashing into the screen of Allen Houston. And he shakes his head in disgust. Houston
got the shot, couldn't hit it. Dudley out-muscles Smits for the rebound.
You know, we've talked about Sprewell and Houston, but both of them are getting shots. They're just not making them. Camby.
Nice move. Marcus Camby. Jump stop. Right to the hoop for the jump hook. 17 for Marcus.
Second player chosen in the draft by Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah knew something for a while there that nobody else seemed to know.
He's hit 8 of 10 as Allen Houston collides with Reggie Miller, and Houston will be assessed his first foul.
When Marcus Camby develops this into a consistent shot instead of just the luck of the bounce, then he can become an unbelievable player in this league.
Crowd chanting Reggie sucks, and that usually wakes him up. You got bodies colliding all over the place. Larry Johnson and the Knicks fans are not going to be happy with this call.
Smits finally missed a shot, but LJ with his third foul.
And you see this ball go up, and you know something about goaltending. Well, let's see. Is Chris Dudley in the net?
Yes, he's in the net.
Inconsequential. Nothing but net for Camby.
Nothing but net for Reggie Miller. Miller knocks down his 12th point of the game, and the Pacers lead by 2.
What were they chanting about Reggie's team? I missed that.
Reggie sucks. They should leave that guy alone. They don't know well enough by now that that's the kind of talk that gets him fired up.
Oh, here comes the lick.
LJ licked his fingers first. Dale Davis is in trouble. Hand check foul on Davis.
When you go to the lick, it's all over.
All right, 6:59 left in the third. We're going to moisten our fingers, and we'll be back with the Pacers leading by 2.
You have to stop the big guns if you expect to win. The Knicks focusing in on Reggie Miller. When the Pacers haven't stopped themselves with 15 turnovers already this evening, Reggie Miller has been the subject of direct attention. Physically, when he comes off screens, they're banging him at every opportunity. The hip check by Allen Houston. Reggie Miller only has 2 free throw attempts. He's made both.
A dozen points for Reggie. And the Pacers leading by 2, just under 7 minutes left in the third.
There's another one of those declining graphs that we've seen from Reggie. Almost below sea level if it goes too much farther, Tom.
Chris Mullen back in the game trying to defend Marcus Camby.
Well, they're too close together, so Johnson's going over the top with 2 more.
LJ, who started the game 1 of 5, has now made 5 in a row, beginning with that 3-pointer at the buzzer to end the first quarter.
Reggie Miller's having a pretty good evening. It's just that he hasn't taken a lot of shots. He's 4 for 6 from the field, so he's shooting it well. He's just not getting enough attempts. They go back to Smith.
Jackson for 3. Houston leading the fast break. Camby. Boy, Indiana lax about getting back on defense.
And that was Larry Bird's main message to the team today was transition D. You can't let these guys with the young, fresh leg like Camby and Sprewell get out and beat you up and down the court.
But anytime you shoot a quick shot and it's deep out on the perimeter like Jackson's was, and you surprise your teammates, you're not going to have a good chance. You see Larry Johnson and the space that Dale Davis gives him, trying to make sure that he's giving help to Chris Mullen, costs up the perimeter shot to Larry Johnson, and then in the break you'll see Marcus Camby dancing over the top.
Steve, why doesn't LJ go to the lick every time?
He's saving it for special occasions.
Okay.
Right, you know.
Chris Dudley in serious foul trouble here. Not much on the offensive end.
And Smith's back to the free throw line. Tomorrow, after the NBA playoffs, NBC is giving you a second chance to see the outrageous Third Rock season finale and the Mad About You series finale. That's Third Rock, followed by Mad About You, all starting at 9, 8 Central tomorrow on NBC.
The Pacers as a team have yet to miss a free throw. Smith's got the first, trying to get the second. He has been sizzling since he came back in. That's 19 points. 4 here in the third quarter for Rick Smith.
Indiana, which went forever without shooting a free throw, is 9 for 9 in the game.
And that's a big change from the 47 free throw attempts that they took in game 2 at home.
New York is 4 of 6. Here's a foul call. Illegal pick. Larry Johnson, who shakes his finger.
Now, if you've been watching any of the playoffs, and players should know that, pick and roll situations are Terry Durham's favorite call. If you are not silent and still, as Larry Johnson is barking and reacting, you will end up getting the whistle going against you as a screener.
Van Gundy and Terry Durham are really getting into it in front of the Knicks bench.
Dale Davis, back rim, rebounded by Marcus Camby. How valuable has Camby been to New York in this game?
How could Toronto give him up?
And another violation by the Knicks will turn it over to Indiana.
I like that move that Jess Kersey made. It was a little Broadway himself. He gave us a watch. And he come down here, put both hands on the ball, and come into the rim and got caught.
You can do that in football. Kurt Thomas is back in for the New York Knicks.
Tom, when you see the contributions of Sprewell, Camby, these are the guys that Ernie Grunfeld, who got the axe, he brought in. That was his vision. I'm wondering if he's going to ask for his job back.
Larry Johnson went to the bench with 4 fouls. Thomas is in.
Smith.
And he throws his hands up in disbelief.
Another illegal screen, Tom.
This time it's just Kersey tagging, and you can see the disgusted look on Bird's face.
Derek McKee replacing Dale Davis for Indiana.
Steve, you were a guy that received a lot of screens. Some say needed a lot of screens, but isn't it the guy who's receiving the screen? It's his job to wait for the guy to get set. What are they doing out there?
Well, they're all moving too quickly, and it is the responsibility of the guy that's getting the screen to wait. Allen Houston just busting his way in and forces a call in his favor. This one going to go against Chris Mullin.
Houston splitting the defenders and actually initiating the contact.
Allen Houston knows that he plays a lot better when he gets to the foul line. When he drives to that hoop instead of settling for that perimeter jumper, he is so much more valuable than Jeff Van Gundy.
No Mullin. They give it to Reggie Miller. That is his first foul of the evening.
I noticed that they brought McKee off the Indiana bench to defend Marcus Camby. Is that the ultimate compliment or not? McKee, one of their best defenders, and who would have guessed that he'd be called on to defend Marcus Camby?
Marcus Camby, started the season, he was just stopping himself.
New York leads by 2. Mullin for 3. Bullseye. Chris Mullin buries a 3. He has 2 3-pointers, his 6 points in the game.
And now with Sprewell back in the game, the Pacers scoring at a more regular clip. The Knicks can't run out of the net.
Allen Houston lost it trying to dodge Rick Smits. This play right here had Jeff Van Gundy talking to his assistants. I told him, don't let him catch the ball in that kind of position. And we'll see if it has any impact as they try to find Rick Smits.
Smits being defended by Camby as Allen Houston commits his 2nd foul.
Remember, Sprewell used to be a teammate of Chris Mullin, and he told us that he learned something about Mullin, but he's not applying it right now. Mullin is the master of the seam. You give him one, he'll make you pay.
Now that's a rarity right there. Chris Mullin clanging one.
And tomorrow, 6 Eastern on NBC, NBA playoff coverage begins with NBA Showtime. Then the Trailblazers trying to stave off the sweep as they meet the San Antonio Spurs in Game 4. Showtime, then Game 4 of the West, starting at 6 Eastern tomorrow here on NBC.
We got the great 3-point shooters here, Chris Mullin, Reggie Miller. How about the 3-point shooting for San Antonio with Jaren Jackson, Steve Kerr, Sean Elliott.
Sprewell misses, got a good look, couldn't hit it. Antonio Davis, who just replaced Rick Smits for Indiana, collars the rebound. Sprewell 4 of 13 in the game. Antonio Davis fouled by Camby.
The Knicks cry, and right now they cannot lose their focus on the officials. They've got to stay in the ball game. They got themselves off the floor after being down 5, got a 2-point advantage. Marcus Camby has been sensational since entering the ball game, but he did foul Antonio Davis, who goes to the line.
Number 2 on Camby.
Steve, you said when he says entering the ball game, remember he started the second half You and I are old enough to remember John Havlicek. He was the vaunted sixth man for the Boston Celtics. Havlicek would sit out the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game and then play the rest of the way, full 43 minutes. That's what Van Gundy is really going with now with Marcus Camby and Sprewell.
Antonio Davis hits that free throw. Chris Childs is in at the point for the Knicks, replacing Charlie Ward.
Three-point ball game, trying to go to Allen Houston on the post against Reggie Miller. Houston is not a great post player, but a tough fadeaway.
Allen Houston now has recorded 13 points. His personal battle with Reggie Miller. Houston has scored one more point. Sprewell, Thomas nearly lost it out of bounds. Childs calling for it.
Quickness advantage again for New York.
Allen Houston. 2 in a row for Houston. That one from Sprewell. And as we've said before, the ability of Sprewell and Houston now to play together has been a big boost for the New York offense. 9 in the quarter for Houston. And Sprewell nearly dragged Jackson down.
That is the ultimate Sprewell move right there, but we'll go back and take a look at Allen Houston down on the post against Reggie Miller, gets him planted and then a quick turn and pop, and that gets a little bit of offensive confidence for Allen Houston, and then Sprewell in transition trying to find his way through, finds Allen Houston almost in the same spot. The result, the same.
1 point game. John Stark spent 8 seasons in a Knicks uniform, providing plenty of excitement and sometimes exasperation. Along the way, he made the All-Star team once, became the Knicks' all-time leader in three-point field goals. In the '93 playoffs against Chicago, he clinched a game with this dunk that's still remembered by New York fans. And Stark's in attendance at the Garden today. He's with Jim Gray.
All right, thanks, Tom. Of course, he went over in the trade over to Golden State, which brought Latrell Sprewell here. John, let me ask you, you are a very close friend of Patrick Ewing and you spoke to him. How difficult has this been for him, and how hard has he taken it?
It's very difficult. He's been an integral part in the Knicks' success up to this point. And, for him to go down at this particular time and not be able to participate in this game, in this series till the end, it's very hard on him.
Of course, you've had some great rivalries. You've been part of this thing for a long time with Reggie Miller, of course, the headbutt, which was a couple of years ago, very famous thing. What about the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks, and how deep is that feeling ingrained, even though you're a former Knick?
Well, it's always a rivalry going against, the Indiana Pacers because you know what they're going to bring to the table, and you know what type of player Reggie is. He's a very talented player, and over the years we didn't have our competitions, but
can you laugh at that headbutt now?
Oh, I can laugh at it, sincerely. But it was just a lot of fun, playing against him in these type of games.
John, great for you to come back to the Garden and support your former teammates. Good to see you. Back over to you, Tom.
All right, Jim. Kurt Thomas hits for New York. I suspect it's a little easier for John to laugh about that headbutt than it is for Reggie.
Well, one of the great things about playing in New York is how loyal the fans are. And even though John is no longer playing for the team, he is still beloved here. And wherever he goes, they just idolize that fine warrior.
2:25 left, third quarter. Knicks leading by 1. Mullen to the hoop, missed the layup. Then took it away from Kurt Thomas.
Step back and shoot a 3 here. If the layups aren't going, the 3 has to be there.
I love your logic.
McKee had a mismatch with Childs and was fouled by Chris.
When was the last time you had to step back and shoot a 3?
Well, I tried to make my layups first of all, so I would never have to resort to that dynamic three-point shot that I possessed.
Mullen out of the ball game. Jalen Rose comes in. McKee going to the free throw line. Had a good mismatch, went right to it. Childs picked up the personal.
Derek McKee, who missed 37 games with right knee soreness, tendonitis. And the game tied at 65 with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Childs all the way, got it.
In the first half, we talked about the Pacers would not win if they did not deny penetration to Chris Childs. 2 times in the last 3 possessions, he's come down and just given the easy scoring opportunities to his team.
Well, they beat the defense before it could get set up. Miller on the catch and shoot.
Short on the three-point attempt. Camby has his 7th board. Childs, a quick 3. Rebounded by Antonio Davis.
Terrific box out by Derek McKee, keeping Canby, who was on the run.
What about the quick shot by Childs?
Now, Childs he had that happy feeling. You know, he felt it. He thought it was going to go, and a chance to really build some momentum. And
didn't make Van Gundy feel very happy.
3-second violation. Mark Jackson never got out, but Van Gundy, he knows that Chris Childs is much better as a defensive player against the big post-up guards. Charlie Ward is better defending the guys like Stephon Marbury and Tim Hardaway, the fast up and down, really wide open players. But that's not Mark Jackson's game, and that's why Chris Childs gets so much more time against the Pacers.
Reggie Miller gets a rest. Sam Perkins is in, and Travis Best replaces Mark Jackson at the point for Indiana, who now have turned the ball over 17 times. Childs trapped in the corner and fouled.
That's a bailout call there. He had nowhere to go. He was stumbling.
Travis Best, number 1.
Larry Bird's facial expressions are hilarious. The smirks, the little glance of an eye. Just the way he played.
Sprewell gets by Rose. And he lost the ball on the way up, and he's bailed out by an Indiana foul.
Steve, Latrell Sprewell going to the basket. He prefers finishing left.
Well,
I don't think the Pacers have picked up on that.
I think in this case it was just get it and get it up in the air, but Sprewell was trying to turn that corner, and he comes with such speed and quickness that if you don't get to him right away, he's right at the basket, gets his first free throw.
Don't forget, early tomorrow, croissant and cafe from the French Open in Paris. Agassi and Medvedev for the men's championship. The French Open tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 in the morning on the Pacific Coast.
Steve, how's your tennis game?
Well, we've been so busy I haven't been able to play, but, you know, one day I'll get a taste of that Terra bat, too.
McKee draws the double team, whips it to Rose. Ball movement to Best. And a holding foul called on New York.
The closeout defense again, the quickness of New York, denying that three-point opportunity. The Pacers normally expert at moving that ball.
Well, we'll take a look at it. You'll see Sprewell is going to be the guy to come over and gamble, and that's going to start the ball movement for the Indiana Pacers. And then Kurt Thomas just reaches around. He must have been a lineman or something, because, you know, slaps himself in the head all the time after every foul that he makes. Is there anything up there?
Well, it's the 5th foul for Kurt, and he'll leave as the venerable Herb Williams returns to the court.
Herb with a couple of stints to use up some time at the end of the first half, at the end of the third quarter here. But this New York defense, very reminiscent of Chicago when they were at their peak, and then the Seattle Sonics when they were a good team, when they could double team anywhere on the court and still recover and close out on the three-point shooters.
Indiana has only 1 field goal the last 6.5 minutes, but they have hit 9 of 12 free throws in that time. Sprewell launches. Rebounded by Camby. As he fell down, he missed the shot.
Bring that one out and reset.
Well, he had no chance to get any balance. He thought nobody was there. He'd get a shot. Travis Best.
Camby rejects it.
Marcus Camby is everywhere. He's on the offensive glass. He's blocking shots. He's running the lane. And Toronto traded him.
You'll see him come down the lane and slap that one away. And the Indiana Pacers have 15 on the shot clock, 20.4 on the game. So there's about a 5.5 second differential.
Camby just like a frisky young colt. As you said, he's everywhere. Ought to be young.
19 points, 8 rebounds, 1 block, Marcus Camby.
Best misses the shot. Got it back and leaves it for McKee, who hits with 5 seconds left. Good play by Travis Best, and McKee buried the shot. Here's Houston. Quarter about to end. He can't score, and the third comes to a close. And we begin it the way we ended the half. LJ, 15 points. Marcus Camby with 19 points. And the third quarter comes to a close with a tie game in the books. Indiana 69, New York 69 after 3. We'll be back after these messages and a word from your local station. You're watching the NBA on NBC. The TV wand atop the Empire State Building, piercing the setting sun. Manhattan in the gloaming as we're ready to start the fourth quarter in Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The winner takes a 2-1 series lead, and we're tied at 69.
Now, the Indiana Pacers came here to win one of 2 games so that they would get the home court advantage back, and they played very well. To start the fourth quarter, they've got to keep up their defense and find someone to score. Larry Johnson.
He's the man to score, as he has been all afternoon. The Knicks with Larry Johnson, Chris Dudley, Latrell Sprewell, Chris Childs, and Allen Houston. Indiana has Travis Best, Derek McKee, Antonio Davis, Sam Perkins, and Jalen Rose.
The Knicks living dangerously. Plays are being made, and guys are coming to a stop. Beautiful post-up. No stoppage at all there by Sprewell against
Derek McKee.
McKee, who also went to Alabama like Sprewell did. A little rivalry there.
Chris Dudley is hammered. Had an open look for a moment, and now flagrant foul is called.
And Jalen Rose is limping. He's holding about 7 different body parts.
They converge on Chris Childs, who leaves it open for Dudley. And Dudley always has to collect himself, and you can see McKee came across. He didn't make a play on the ball. He went right into the arms of Chris Dudley. That's the reason for the flagrant.
Steve, why are they pressing Chris Childs on the perimeter? Because he hasn't made a three-point shot in so long, I can't even remember.
Well, what he has been able to do, though, is come quickly and break down the defense, so they're trying to get up on him and make him change direction. I know that being further out on the floor is a little foreign for you.
Just back off and let him make some jumpers. Dudley
and Larry Bird shows what he thinks about Chris Dudley making a free throw. As you probably know, Dudley is a career, 46% free throw shooter.
Not good, huh?
And 44% here in the series. He's the worst in NBA history. Larry Johnson gets around Perkins, who pushes him, and Sam Perkins picks up the foul.
Well, Perkins did a good thing. He came over to stop the initial penetration, and Larry Johnson always likes that herky-jerky spin back. He came right back at him. Perkins never got set and got the foul with the hand check.
Johnson wide open after he leveled Best with a kick, and he banks in the 3. LJ.
More penetration by Chris Childs. The horrible start. Larry Johnson, perfect since opening the game, ice cold.
Including 2 threes, both of them very improbable.
Best wide open for 3.
He answers the LJ 3. Travis Best.
Travis Best is normally an outstanding defensive player. He's got to just make it up in his mind that the only thing that I'm going to allow Chris Childs to do is stand in the perimeter and shoot jumpers. Enough of this penetration.
But they're coming back across the middle and nailing him with the Larry Johnson screen. And when he gets screened, that's when Childs is able to turn the corner. This time he keeps him in front. Sprewell with 8 on the clock.
Gave it up to Houston for 3. The rim's out, rebounded by Best. Indiana looks to reclaim the lead.
But Chris Childs is not Tiny Archibald. He's not Lenny Wilkins, guys who you could never stop from coming down.
Partially blocked by Sprewell, but Indiana gets it back.
8 on the clock.
McKee. Ready turnaround. Derek McKee. 7 points off the Indiana bench. McKee averaging only 4 in the playoffs.
Casper, the friendly ghost, has shown up and starting to make his presence felt. He's gotten a couple of big hoops against the clock, and Van Gundy is not happy.
Indiana has reclaimed the lead. They're up 1, 76-75. In the shadow of the Empire State Building at Madison Square Garden, Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Close throughout. Larry Johnson has hit 7 baskets in a row after only 1 of his first 5. Marcus Camby very active for the Knicks today. Latrell Sprewell has gotten a couple of fast break baskets, playing without, of course, Patrick Ewing. Reggie Miller, a dozen points, but only 2 so far in the second half. Rick Smits in the first half scored 15 points in 5 minutes to keep Indiana in striking distance. And now 9:23 left in the fourth quarter, and Indiana leads New York 76-75.
Full 24 seconds on the shot clock. 2 key contributors for New York, Chris Childs and Marcus Camby. Childs, 23 minutes, 4 points, 8 assists without a turnover.
Trying to get Sprewell down in the low post against Jalen Rose. This has been tough for him the entire evening. Misses that opportunity. They're going to get Dudley on the offensive foul. Team over the back.
5 fouls on Chris Dudley. Thomas already playing with 5. Larry Johnson.
Well, if you're Larry Bird, this is a bad trade-off. You can see the ball comes over the top, and because Dudley has the arms in the shoulders of Sam Perkins and pushes off, easy call to make.
When you come into that play, Steve, you have to use your hip to seal him off right there and wait for the ball to bounce out and then go after it.
Dudley unhappy as he sits with 5 fouls, replaced by Marcus Camby. And then Travis Best.
When are you going to open up a big man school for all his subtlety?
No, Pete Newell, he has that all under control, Steve.
Rose whips it to McKee. Went to the left hand and laid it through. McKee with an unexpected offensive burst here in the second half, and 9 points in the game. Indiana leads by 3.
This is where you're really seeing the loss of Patrick Ewing, where the Knicks forced to go with the small lineup and nobody to match up with McKee, who has woken up.
Well, that's a bad matchup for Latrell Sprewell as they double up on Larry Johnson. 7 on the clock.
4 to shoot. Johnson got free, missed the shot. Here's Best for Indiana. McKee wants it in the post, being fronted now by Sprewell.
Over dribbling by Travis Best. Let it go.
Perkins for 3. Sam Perkins nails a 3-point shot, and New York takes timeout. Indiana in the midst of a 10-0 run on the New York Knicks. Derek McKee has been one of the stars of this burst by Indiana.
Well, it's McKee and Sam Perkins who have come back from the dead. And a nice use of the left hand, avoiding Marcus Camby, and then a good ball movement. A little bit of over dribbling there, but finally Sam Perkins really adding that 3-point threat.
Issues still to settle here in Game 3. Since Larry Johnson banked in that 3-point shot, Indiana has scored 10 in a row, and they've taken their biggest lead. Childs kicks it out. Good save by Allen Houston. And an Indiana foul.
Travis Best is hurt. Mark Jackson immediately just substituted himself. He said, I've seen enough of this. But the wild pass after Chris Childs just waltzed into the lane, created an opportunity. Easy play there by Childs down the lane.
He comes up hobbling right there, and he just ran over and grabbed him, wanted to get out of the ball game, so he obviously got hit on that drive by Childs in the corner. Larry Johnson.
That's his first miss in 8 shots, rebounded by Jackson. 15 lead changes and 15 ties. Right now, the momentum belongs to Indiana.
Where the Knicks are going to have some success is pressuring out on the ball. They're going to get a call against Latrell Sprewell, trying to hold up the bigger Derek McKee. He's had trouble keeping him from getting the position, held him out on the perimeter. You can see right here, trying to get across in this screen, easy call to make.
That's when you have to turn and use your backside and your hip and then in the space between your elbows to keep him under control, not just grab him and bear hug him.
Jackson had a foot on the line. It was a 2, missed it anyway. Saved inbounds by Camby. And Camby just now getting back down court. Johnson, and 1.
Larry Johnson is keeping him in the game. But unless Latrell Sprewell comes alive, the Knicks are going to have a lot of trouble here finishing off and maintaining the home court advantage.
what they've done when they've been able to get control of the ball game is strike quickly. When they've had to set up, as Reggie Miller comes back in the ball game, it has been very difficult for them to get scoring. Jalen Rhodes has had a tough afternoon. He's going to take a seat.
Tough afternoon, Steve. He's had a tough series. He started the playoffs very hot. Career highs in the early rounds. Since then, it's been a steady decline over the last 5 games. Larry Bird unhappy with Jalen's inability to move the ball around.
Johnson missed the free throw, but he scored 7 of New York's 8 points in the quarter and has matched his career playoff high of 22 that he set in Game 2. Derek McKee, fall away, won't go.
There's the quickness for the Knicks again, all the loose balls.
I don't know, Antonio Davis did a good job of diving in there. That ball just happened to pop up to Larry Johnson. Now they're trying to post Sprewell against Mark Jackson driving.
Sprewell backs off, misses badly. Antonio Davis the rebound. Sprewell has not had a good shooting day. Only 4 of 16 for Latrell Sprewell. Miller. Antonio Davis is fouled by Camby. Let's go to Jim Gray.
Well, Tom, Travis Best is done for the day. He pulled his groin. He will not return, according to David Craig, the trainer. They will evaluate him day to day. Tom?
That's a big loss right there.
Well, a big, devastating injury. Remember, it was last year when these two teams played when Derek McKee tore that thigh muscle, resulted in surgery required after the season. Derek McKee was a virtual non-factor in this year's regular season.
And after the 3rd round of the U.S. Women's Open Golf Tournament, Julie Inkster holds a 4-stroke lead on the field. Tune in tomorrow at 3 Eastern for the conclusion of the U.S. Women's Open here on NBC. Davis sinks the 2 free throws, and Rick Smits has returned, replacing Sam Perkins. Childs found a lane, threw it right through Sprewell's hands. He recovered. And now Camby. That foul, no call.
But Camby didn't go in to make that shot. He went in there looking to get fouled. If he had gone in and extended, he would have made the play. Smits.
Rick Smits off the bench immediately hits his first shot, 21, to lead the Pacers.
Derek McKee really playing the complete game, Tom. Swinging the ball.
Smits has scored 21 points in 19 minutes on the floor.
And when he's left wide open like this, and this is his shot facing the basket, little tiptoe jumper, he's got a good shot from out there. He's got it going tonight.
Steve, Rick Smits, in Ewing's absence, is finally playing some ball, but Smits has got the attitude that Jaren Jackson has and Steve Kerr, the great three-point shooters for San Antonio. Every time they get the ball, they're just looking to shoot. There is no indecision, no hesitation. And it's paid off today as Smith has finally found his rhythm.
Well, without having to defend to Patrick Ewing, Smits, who fouled out of the first 2, has picked up only 3 in 19 minutes.
Well, the Knicks are down 6. They need to make every free throw count. Childs very upset about missing the first. We'll try to get a second, but it's been a quiet quarter. But they've had these kinds of quarters, lane violations.
Childs, who hit 81% from the free throw line during the regular season, looked very bad on those 2, and in this quarter, New York is only 1 of 5 at the free throw line.
You don't think that was planned, do you? Where he's sort of trying to sneak it in and get his own rebound back?
That may be what he says. Indiana on a 14-2 run.
Van Gundy's going to say in order for his team to win, they've got to defend, they've got to have stops, and it's got to start now. They blocked the ball on Rick Smits. 3 on the shot clock.
Childs coming to help, knocked it out of bounds.
The Pacers are often their own worst enemy in situations like this. Smits loses the ball. How's that not a foul?
Like he got him on the back of the head. Reggie Miller, Camby made him alter the shot.
It's got to be somebody in the set because Indiana's tightened up their defensive transition game.
They're coming back to Sprewell. The matchup against Jackson. Can he get a score? He squeezes one off.
Ducked under the helping Rick Smits to score his 12th point. Lead cut to 6.
Plenty of time for the New York Knicks. What they're trying to do right now is quicken up the pace of the game by doubling on the ball, making them use some time. 12 on the clock for Smits.
Smits got the roll. Soft touch. Rick Smits. He has 23 points.
This is the Rick Smits that Larry Bird has been praying for, literally begging for to should come and play. It's been so difficult, impossible for Rick to play through the pain, though.
They come back to Allen Houston against the defense of McKee. 8 on the clock for Johnson.
Hesitation by LJ.
Childs steps up and delivers the 2. Good ball movement. 6 points now for Childs. Jackson in some trouble, got rid of it to Smits and takes it back. Childs all over him.
Somebody's got to come and help Mark here. Don't stand and wait.
McKee nearly lost it. 3 to shoot. 1 to shoot. McKee got it away. Couldn't hit. Rebounded by Larry Johnson. Childs calling for it. Has it.
Sprewell again here.
Not Sprewell against McKee. And when they get him in a mismatch and they're trying to screen and get Jackson to switch, it works. Childs goes on his own.
Missed it. Camby blasted through Smits to commit the loose ball foul. 4 on Camby.
And walk into the other end of the floor. That means Rick Smits is going to be the guy to shoot the free throws with 3:21 to go. Van Gundy not panicking yet, but certainly concerned with his offensive possessions. He's only gotten 11 points so far, 12 points in the quarter.
Look what Smits has done tonight compared to the first 2 games of the series, and he's 7 for 7 at the free throw line.
He fouled out of those first 2 games, and without Ewing, there's no opportunities for the Knicks to draw fouls with Smits.
Tonight on NBC, after the NBA playoffs, stick around for the world's most amazing videos, followed by Profiler. That's World's Most Amazing Videos and Profiler tonight, following the NBA on NBC.
Well, if you move the ball and move it away from Smits, he'll come to somebody coming down the lane. The Knicks have not done enough of that. They have a couple of plays where Marcus Camby is off the ball. He does a great job of bringing it to the rim. That's how they can get the foul trouble against Rick Smits.
Smits has scored the Pacers' last 6 points in a minute. Scored 15 straight in 5 minutes in the second quarter.
Van Gundy telling us before the game about Smits. He said the best defense against Rick Smits is for him to get in foul trouble, but no opportunity for that. Somebody should drive the ball right at Rick, try to get him out of the game with fouls.
Childs for 3. Big bucket. Knicks needed that one in the worst way, and it makes it a 5-point game, just over 3 minutes left.
Derek McKee is the key man here. He has to come up and help break the press. Larry Bird wants a timeout.
Indiana takes time. The clock shows 3 minutes and 2 seconds, and the Pacers are leading the Knicks in Game 3, 89-84. The NBA on NBC. Rick Smits has been big today.
Remember how poorly this ball game started off for both teams offensively, and then Rick Smits got in foul trouble and got back into the ball game and found an offensive rhythm. And it's come on most of the shots when he's looking at the hoop. When he's been able to turn and get a look at the hoop, he has been deadly, and that has been the difference on the scoreboard. Rick Smits.
Steve, I'm going to go to the library and start doing some research on psychological inconsistencies of some of these performers. Rick Smits is just an absolute non-factor coming into today. Has been the best player in the game.
Jackson blocked by Camby. Childs with the outlet to Sprewell. Camby wants the lob. Instead, it's Allen Houston. And now they'll set it up on the half court.
The Pacers defense have denied Houston and Sprewell, both of them shooting about 33% on the afternoon. Another steal by Indiana.
He lost his balance on the way in as Jackson's coming back looking for a quick strike.
Pacers, after committing 17 turnovers the first 3 quarters, taking care of the ball in this quarter.
Marcus Camby again. The guy is in on every single play in the basket area.
Well, Sprewell had to fight Antonio Davis to try to get around in front, and Van Gundy was yelling like crazy. Somebody covered the rear. He finally got over there, knocked it away. 8 on the clock.
Camby's got 4 steals and 2 blocks.
Antonio Davis, bad looking shot. Johnson with a board. Childs pushes for New York. 2 minutes left in the game.
Nice closeout defense by Antonio Davis.
Here's Allen Houston to Johnson for three. Almost kicked in on the second try. Back tap. Sprewell.
Camby got it out there. The Knicks are going to take a timeout. Van Gundy unhappy with the shot selection.
It comes with 1:44 remaining, and the Pacers leading the Knicks 89-84. Fourth quarter, game 3, and the celebrities out in force for this Eastern Conference Finals game. Alec Baldwin, Billy Crystal is here. Spike Lee, of course, in his courtside seat. Jim Fossil, coach of the New York Football Giants. Tom Brokaw, Matthew Modine, and Peter Boyle. Big NBA fan, Penny Marshall. And the NBA Commissioner, David Stern, is here. New York Knicks trailing by 5 with 1:44 left.
What's important for the Knicks is to get a score in this possession. That means they're down 3 with plenty of time to work. Sprewell.
Latrell Sprewell rejected by Smits and out of bounds with 11 to shoot.
Rick Smits, not a noted shot blocker, that time standing tall. They forced the double clutch. They reached down low and stripped him, and when he brought that ball back down, Smits just towered over the top.
Then they get a layup from Sprewell on the inbounds play.
Derek McKee ended up on his back, freeing up Sprewell.
Lead cut to 3. Here's the trap. Jackson in the backcourt calls a timeout.
And there'll be 2 seconds to go to get the ball over half court. 22nd timeout, Bird signals.
So New York works the inbounds play to perfection to get the layup, and then ratchets up the defense a notch, causing Jackson to take the timeout.
Well, remember in game 1, they were down by 5, 2:20 to go in the ball game, and they rallied, got in the ball game, and then it was free throws down the stretch, and Larry Bird is trying to make sure, A, he gets that ball across center court, and they're in an attacking mode because they're in the penalty. They could be shooting free throws.
Don't forget, we'll go out west tomorrow for further NBA playoff action. Starts with NBA Showtime, 6 o'clock Eastern here on NBC. And then the Spurs look for the sweep of the Trailblazers. NBA Showtime and Game 4 in the West starting at 6 Eastern tomorrow here on NBC. And now Indiana takes a full timeout. Larry Bird trying to make sure here in the final minute 24. Back after these messages from your local station, the NBA on NBC.
Welcome back to Madison Square Garden. I'm Jim Gray. 89-86, the Pacers lead. They have the ball. They will advance at the half court. Larry Bird in that timeout told his team, hey guys, if you're trapped, call timeout. We have 2 of them left. I want no turnovers. Get a good shot. If you make it or you miss it, hustle back on defense. No easy transition points. Tom?
All right, Jim. Indiana did advance the ball. That's what they can do after calling the full timeout. They could not have with the 20.
They've got to score, the Pacers do. The Knicks are coming on strong.
Miller had it blocked by Sprewell, and then he recovered and missed. Camby continues to rule the boards, 11 rebounds. Childs now backs it out.
There was a chance for Childs to get all the way to the rim, and he had Sprewell on the other side, and he set it back up. 12 on the clock, looking for Allen Houston against Derek McKee.
Great defense, McKee.
Johnson spinning on Antonio Davis. Up and under. Wild shot.
Shot clock violation.
Didn't hit the rim. That was not a good possession by New York.
They couldn't get the ball to Houston, though, because Derek McKee denied him. But the beautiful strip defensively by Sprewell denied Reggie. His runner almost goes down for the Pacers, but can't be there to gobble up the miss.
Reggie Miller has scored only 2 points in the second half and is 0 for 2 here in the fourth quarter. Only 2 shots. He's missed them both.
Derek McKee has been huge for the Pacers down the stretch.
Well, if they need to foul someone and get a miss, McKee's the guy, and he's handling the ball. The Knicks can't let a lot of time go by. 12 on the clock.
8 to shoot. Jackson. Back to Miller. 3 to shoot. McKee. And New York, as Houston recovers, takes a timeout. Pacers' first turnover in the fourth quarter, and New York has it down 3 with 20 seconds left.
Nobody wanted to take the shot for Indiana. Jackson backed it right out, swung the ball around to Reggie. He couldn't turn the corner to get down the lane, and then Derek McKee passed up a look. Turnover. Knicks still alive.
.20 seconds remaining in Game 3. The Indiana Pacers 89, the New York Knicks 86. The winner will go up 2-1 in the series. New York has only 1 timeout remaining. Indiana has 2. Neither team with a foul to give.
Well, the strategy for the New York Knicks has to be to take the first score available, and it should be a quick-hitting 2. If you missed a 3 and they get the ball back, you have to foul. Now you're down 5. There's still a lot of time. They can get the 2, come back and foul and try to steal a ball. Put someone like Derek McKee on the line, Antonio Davis, they might get a miss. They're right back in it. Dale Davis has also been in the ball game. So there are a lot of things in favor of the New York Knicks going for a quick 2.
In this scenario, the defense, the Pacers, for instance, they often are very cautious, don't want to foul. If the Knicks can score right away, Kurt Thomas and Chris Dudley not in the game, they both have 5 fouls. Larry Johnson has 4.
Charlie Ward back in the ball game along with Childs, Camby, Sprewell, and Houston.
Ward replaces Johnson, so the 2 point guards are on the court at the same time, Ward and Childs.
Larry Johnson is too good a scorer to take out here.
Sprewell takes the inbounds pass against Derek McKee. Still on the move. Dishes to Camby. Blocked. But a foul.
Mishandled that. That was a jam setup if you've ever seen one, and he couldn't, and he's had a great afternoon. Handle that one to finish the play. Sprewell is thinking pass the entire way down the lane. He finally breaks down the defense, and Dale Davis, Antonio Davis both come to the ball.
Beautiful pass, but you have to remember that Camby nor Latrell Sprewell have ever been involved in a playoff run before. Not aware of how much you have to keep playing. This is Camby's first try at the playoffs. Sprewell never won a playoff game in 3 attempts at Golden State.
Camby sinks the free throw. He's 2 of 4 at the line in the game. That was his 20th point, but his first in this fourth quarter. Now Chris Dudley replaces Charlie Ward.
And Jalen Rode comes back in the ball game. Derek McKee goes down.
The margin is 2 with 13.8 seconds left.
Terry Durham stepping in to make sure that all players are outside the 3-point arc before they come charging in up Camby's backside on an attempted miss here. I think you try to make this one.
And he does.
Then foul.
It's a 1-point game. Indiana timeout. 13.8 seconds on the clock. Indiana's lead is 1. They'll have the ball when we return to the Garden, the NBA on NBC. 89-88, and this is hugely Miller time. Reggie Miller has killed the Knicks in the final seconds of many games, but not in game 1 of this series. New York's tight defensive play didn't allow Reggie to get open, and it wound up coming to Mark Jackson, who took the 3 to try to tie the game. It missed. New York came away with a victory. Then in game 2, score tied. Reggie did get the ball and managed to draw the foul from Chris Childs. Miller hit both free throws to give Indiana the margin of victory in a 2-point win that tied the series.
That was a game-winning foul. Oh, my goodness. Reggie Miller, top playoff scoring games at Madison Square Garden. Won a lot of those games.
But today, he hasn't scored a field goal in 19 minutes.
Reggie's the best free throw shooter in the league. The Pacers have had trouble in the early rounds of the series getting the ball to Reggie. Other teams have double-teamed Reggie, denying him possession.
Well, they're going to make sure that Derek McKee does not get to be the guy handling the ball. He's going to inbound the basketball. Now, a lot of times McKee makes mistakes in inbounding the ball. They got to pressure up on everyone.
It's McKee, Rose, Miller, Smits, and Jackson for Indiana.
If you can't foul McKee, Jackson's the one that missed the big free throw in game 1. Gave the Knicks an opportunity.
Smits wants the run out on the long pass. Instead, it's Jackson wide open. Sprewell grabs him with 11.6 seconds. It'll be Mark Jackson, the New York native, who goes to the free throw line at a poignant moment earlier in this season when Jackson's dad, Harry, died. the Knicks had played in Indianapolis, and Jeff Van Gundy went to Mark Jackson and said, come back with us on the team plane. And he said, Mark did, no, that wouldn't be right. And Jeff Van Gundy said, yes, it's absolutely the right thing to do. We care about you. And he rode back with the Knicks charter plane to his dad's funeral. Now at the free throw line, Mark Jackson, who has hit his only 2 attempts, now 3 for 3.
Antonio Davis in, Smith's out, Larry Johnson back in the game, Charlie Ward down. Dale Davis is going to get back in the ball game. Jalen Rose will go down. Jackson has been in this position before when he does that thing where he lines his arm up. A lot of times he comes up short, and that's what the crowd is hoping for here. 2-point lead, Indiana.
Knicks still have a timeout. Biggest thing here is possession if the free throw is missed. Got a lot of time to set a play.
Indiana 5 for 5 at the free throw line, 4th quarter. And now 6 for 6. The lead is 3. New York takes a timeout. 11.9 seconds showing on the clock. Knicks try to pull out a tie when we return to Madison Square Garden to a 3-point game. The Indiana Pacers like to tell you they're a better road team than they are at Market Square Arena. They're unbeaten on the road in the playoffs, and they lead New York 91-88 with 11.9 seconds left, and New York will have the ball. Patrick Ewing can only watch from the bench with his injury. And is it time to go for 3? Time to take the quick first available score?
I think they have to take the first available score. Again, with 11 seconds to go, almost 12 seconds, you got a ton of time left. You got to get a quick score and then try to come back and make a steal. And if you don't get this steal foul, you're hoping that somebody's going to give you that miss. If you miss this 3, you're cooked.
Interesting, but wrong. They're out of timeouts. They got to shoot the 3-pointer right now. They don't have any time left. You're just going to take them a bunch of seconds off the clock to get the ball into shooting range. They got to get that 3-pointer to go down now. If they miss any shot, the game is over.
Why am I surprised you guys disagree? And I'm just shocked at that. 91-88, 11.9. Knicks have advanced the ball to midcourt. Charlie Ward will trigger the ball inbounds. It's Ward, Childs, Sprewell, Houston, and Larry Johnson back in.
And I'm sure Larry Bird has told his guys, you know, we got a couple choices here. We can foul for possession or don't foul on a 3.
If it gets late, the Pacers can foul to put them on the line.
Ward had it tipped. Johnson made a good catch. Johnson is fouled and hit. Johnson has hit his career quota of wild shots today.
But now he's got to make one, and when they rushed him, he said, leave me alone. I got to make a free throw here. The game is a long way from being over.
Got it. New York by 1. Timeout, Indiana. 3 incredible 3-point shots by Larry Johnson in this game.
The worst possible scenario for Larry Bird and the Indiana Pacers, who has lost in this building. Bird has too many times on long 3-point shots at the end of the game. Larry Johnson, the pump fake. Phantom foul called there. Running away from the play, Antonio Davis.
Grabbed him, but you're in that situation, what you got to think is the worst I can do is foul and get possession. Goes for the pump fake. Now he's got a hand on him, and he's going to push, and he gets one. This is home court advantage. That's what you get when you play at home. You get the. Now you said that Reggie Miller foul wasn't a foul.
That's right. That's not a foul either.
Now remember, to end the first quarter, shot clock, game clock running out. Larry Johnson hit a 3 from way deep.
And Patrick Ewing, whose life is just taking a terrible turn here with that foot problem, couldn't be happier for his team. And that's what a team is all about. He told his guys, I'll be there cheering for you. I've got faith, I've got confidence in you. You guys can win this. You're good enough. And they've shown that this afternoon.
Well, there's 5.7 seconds. That's a ton of time for the Indiana Pacers. They missed with 6 seconds in Indiana. Mark Jackson taking the 3. All they need here is a 2. So they're not in the same desperate straits. And for the New York Knicks, they have no fouls to give. They got to play straight-up defense. So they cannot afford to put the good free throw shooting Indiana Pacers on the line.
Steve, I told you they needed to take a 3-point shot.
And get fouled, too. Johnson hit the 3 at the buzzer to end the first quarter, banked in a 3 early in the fourth quarter, and now this 4-point play with 5 seconds left has given New York a 1-point lead.
Has there ever been a greater 4-point play?
No.
More significance in the history of the NBA.
So it's McKee, Smits, Jackson, Miller, and Rose for Indiana. 5.7 seconds left. Can Reggie Miller pull out another one at the Garden? Here's Mark Jackson. Jackson triple team, tied up, got a shot up, no good. New York wins. Well, Indiana never really got a good look at it. Mark Jackson was immediately surrounded by white shirts. 3 of them eventually converged on him, almost tied him up. He got a wild shot up just at the horn. Charlie Ward rebounds, and New York has the most improbable victory in Game 3.
2 game-winning opportunities for Indiana, and Reggie Miller does not touch the ball either time. That's not the way it's supposed to be for Indiana.
Miller with 12 points, only 2 in the second half. And Larry Johnson with an amazing shot, and he is with Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Larry, tell us about that 4-point play. And was that what was called in the huddle?
No, it was not. First of all, I'd like to say all praise is due to Allah. It was not called in the huddle. It was supposed to be a drive by Allen, but he couldn't get it. So once I got it, I just tried to square up, and I got a good look at it, and I shot it, and it went in. Allahu Akbar.
That was a prayer. Were you surprised you were fouled?
Yes, I was. You're down 3. There shouldn't have been no foul. But like I said, all praise is due to Allah for that shot.
We're watching it right now. You hit 3 very unlikely 3-pointers today. You made 8 shots in a row. What goes through one when one finds the zone like that? It seemed like everything you threw up went in.
You know what? I wouldn't even call it a zone. I was trying to stay focused. A lot of guys got to step up since Patrick is out. And that's, that was my main focus, trying to step up since Patrick is out.
What did Patrick say to you? He gave you a big hug.
Pat, before when he found out his injury, we had a meeting with him the day of practice, and he told us, he's still with us, and, for that guy to be around as long as he's been around, and he's been hurt throughout this whole playoff, and he's give us 110%, we got to give it right back to him.
Were you guys teetering your confidence coming into this game without Patrick?
No, I think that, like I said, guys understand they got to step up. Myself, Marcus, Kirk Thomas, Big Chris Dudley, guys got to step up, and I think that's what guys are trying to do, step up.
Larry, congratulations. There's never been a bigger 4-point play.
Thank you very much. Allahu Akbar.
All right, back over to you, Tom.
Thank you, Jim Gray. There have been some classic moments between the Knicks and the Pacers here in Madison Square Garden. Reggie Miller's heroics with 8 points in 16 seconds come immediately to mind. But never a wilder finish than tonight. The 4-point play by Larry Johnson gives New York a victory and a 2-1 lead in the series. The final, 92-91. So for Steve Jones, Bill Walton, and Jim Gray, Tom Hammond saying so long from New York. Now let's go to the world's most amazing videos.